Hello, this is High Templar. Welcome back to my Total War Rome 2 reviews videos, and today we will be going through the Ancestral updates, how it affects your game and campaign and other stuff. This is an update that will be coming with the Rise of the Republic DLC on the 9th of August, but you can play it now on beta since like 3 days ago. And it's very cool, it changes lots of stuff, it gives the game new engine. And my review will basically tell you what it changed and how it will affect your gameplay, campaign in particular. But I will go through the graphical changes as well very shortly. And I have to start with stability because it's not great. In 4 or so hours of me playing this beta, my game crashed 3 times, which is obviously far from ideal. And the previous builds were much better, crashing maybe once in every 100 hours. If you go through the changes in the graphics, the new engine will show you the new lighting, and that will include reference. This is basically Warhammer engine mostly here. This will also give you hide foliage, so if you see this forest here, if I go closer, it will disappear, which is really great. Now, the other changes are like subtle. If you remember how the ground looked when you zoomed in during the game, you would remember that was very glossy. Now it's gone, and this is a very good change, in my opinion. There are also other changes to the reflections. For example, you can still kind of see the sun through the clouds, but the reflections are also dynamic reflections even during this weather. Here, for example, there are also some cloud shadows and god rays and similar. Obviously, I won't be able to show this in this weather. So let's reload quickly and try to do that in dry. We'll see if we will be able to get any clouds. But even if we don't, we should get a good enough weather to show you that race. Yeah, it's a nice weather. No clouds though, so no shadows. But you can already see here that they are visible and the reflections are quite spectacular. So, very nice changes indeed. But you are not here to see the graphical changes, you would be able to see them in the official Total War channel. There are some good showcases on other channels. You've come see for the meat. So what changed in campaigns? And I will start with my patch 16 load of cartridge campaign. So you could see some stuff here. And this patch is very culture focused. So each culture will have different skills, for example, for your men. Both for your agents, all the skills for your agents and for your generals would reset, and you will have a new ones. And as you can see, there is totally new character screen with the family tree. Maybe not so great in this particular save, but I will show you some others when the families will be quite big. And if I pick Hannibal, you would see that he's also, you can get more people to household, and you can seek wife that is not from political marriage. For the political marriage, by the way, you need to have at least 10 party loyalty to get person from that party, which is, I think, missing a point a bit, because it was mostly the families that were very much at odds with each other, marrying each other, because to basically eye more with themselves to show others that they are no longer quarreling. This was, in many cases, supposed to be a mending, and that was before that patch. Now it's different. But there are lots of stuff that's different. Well, politics is not different so much. You still have this secure loyalty and provoke. You would have purge in others. And why you do not have purge in Republic is beyond me, because like in first and second triumvirate, in times before that, times of Sulla and Marius, purging, killing basically your opponents was very, very common tactics, but I digress. So, going back to the character screen, we have all those guys. And, for example, this is my retired general. I retired him, I mean not retired, he's no longer a general, because I needed him to do some political actions. He has lots of gravitas. Now, actions cost you gravitas, not influence. Not the actual people in the Senate, but gravitas, which is very, very, very important, because in the times before, you would use political factions in the first 10-20 turns, and then you would stop, because the cost of them, you would never get it back basically till even if you play 200 turns, which is not that common, at least when I play it. And now it costs you gravitas, so it would make sense to do more political actions as the game progresses, because then your gravitas will be less valuable. Basically, you would get less influence for that gravitas, and you would lose less influence by losing 30 gravitas, for example. So you have new intrigue panels, you have new household, you can secure spouse. Not politically, this is all cool. You have new skills. Let's go through the intrigues first. Intrigues will cost you gravitas, as I mentioned, but there are also other requirements, like to promote this guy further. He is in the second stage of his career. He would have to be at least 30 years old, and this is displayed. Or to use, for example, improve relations, I would have to have basically 2 more zeal than the target cunning. Because this guy's zeal is 3, he will not be able to do anything. And leisure time. 6 zeal authority, this is massive. And send emissary, I mean, from all those secure is obviously pretty nice. And it is even nicer because it only costs 2 loyalty to other factions for only 2 turns. So after the Civil War, you would press that secure promotion like crazy, because it wouldn't matter. You would be protected either way. So this is something you could use. And this is, I do not believe that would be taking advantage of the game. That's what you normally do. After the Civil War, you would go and grab more power, secure your power, so that makes sense. Improve relations is also pretty cool. It will cost you 30 gravitas, but the target will also lose 10 gravitas, so it's not that bad, and you are gaining loyalty. Leisure time is very, very cool, because you're just gaining stuff, right? Send emissary plus 8 gravitas, but you are getting minus 2 loyalty, so for 5 turns. So like you can see, all those loyalty turn losses are very small, which is great, but there is not that much you can do to gain loyalty. So that is also very important. It will be much harder to control your factions in this game. You have to remember, especially because political marriage is off the table for most actions you would normally do. Well, you could secure loyalty and then do political marriage, maybe that will work, but it wouldn't be that great as it used to be. The political marriage only gives 2 loyalty for 4 turns. So it's not also that great in this concern. Right. Then you have entice, which is not that useful, in my opinion. Embezzle funds is very good option right now, because it gives you a lot of money, and at the start of the game it will be quite useful if your character has lots of cunning. And you can, because of the reset, you can actually pick skills that will give you cunning, so you can do some options with some of your generals and tailor your generals to do some of those actions. This is very important. Also, you'll have a lot more people in here, because there are wives here as well, and they also will be gaining gravitas and what's not. So they will be doing a lot of politics. Sending a gift, I'm not sure why it's not available in this particular, because this is very nice thing. For not that large amount of money, you are gaining gravitas and you are gaining loyalty. So it would be pretty cool. Then you have do a favor. This is also requires you to have a lot more your loyalty. You can flirt, but this was a double-edged sword. Not only your spouse, but the target spouse, and they will get some negative gravitas. But also the initiator will gain some gravitas, but it's not really, because it costs 30. So praise somebody. You can go through all those options. Some of them are less useful than others. Obviously, Sick Spouse is something I would not use when I can do a political marriage, but spouses could be great as well. Usurp Legacies, I don't understand as it works right now, because it only gives you negatives, basically. You get minus 10 gravitas for other family members, and plus 10 influence for all other parties, so it's very unbalanced. It just ruins you. So that's bad. Educate is very good. Declare Error is can be useful with the adoption, for example. It will not cost you arm and leg. So that is something you can do. And yeah, as you can see, for example, depending on what are the stats of those generals, they would have this or other option available. And for example, if I get Hannibal has already 2 authority. If I go and zeal him, for example, so we will pick Marine. Yeah, those skills I will explain also in a moment. But then I want to zeal him even more. So say the Dread. Now he has 6 zeal. If I get him the right people, like this guy gives more authority, you could be able to do Gather Support. Gather Support, I will show you Gather Support in my other save. I am just short with Hannibal, for example, with 6 zeal, but I will show you on my Epirus. It's quite easy actually to do, and Gather Support gives you, it's very unbalanced, plus 2 influence for your own party, minus to your loyalty for other parties for 4 turns. So basically, much more powerful than Purge. And you can just go with it until you're 90. However, you must remember that this is much more problematic to gain loyalty in this patch. There are, however, some options, and I will show you them on agents. But yeah, there are also options in the general skill trees in some cases, in some cultures. But that's not what I really want to do. Now, what I did wanted to do is show you the general skills right now. So Intrigues I explained and how it works and what you can gain, which are the most powerful. I wouldn't be playing this patch because I would just go through gather support, and this is totally overpowered. I don't want to do that. But let's say I pick a general, one of my generals. And he already actually is super powerful. Interesting. So frugality. Obviously the best skill in the game, still not very balanced. Still not very balanced. I do believe he is supposed to have mercenary army, because it would be very cheap to support it, but that's not what I want to show you. What I want to show you is general skills, and now the general skills and the agent skills are culture specific. That means if you are starting with Carthage, your first zeal skill will be marine. For barbarians it will be warrior, as it used to be. For Greeks it would be philosopher, I believe. So those are changed, and there are different, like portmaster and blockade expert, that would be not available for other factions. Some of those not at all. Defense, offense and dread I believe is for all, but the last one is also not that used. And obviously plus 15 campaign movement range for fleet and additional fleet morale and turning speed is absolutely powerful. If you go to the entrepreneur, plus 15% for research faction wide is also very overpowered. I would not use it because you would have 4 generals, some skills, and you would be gaining those elite units by turn 40. This one is, in my opinion, not that great, although you are getting loyalty of the 10th, which is pretty cool. But only few experience ranks you are getting military, cavalry, commander as normal. So all those skills here. And yeah, this one is working as it used to. Very useful skills, obviously. And with the agents, so for all generals of Carthage that looks pretty much the same as it is now. For those guys, you are also getting culture specific skills, although they are similar between the factions, much more similar between the factions actually. But there are a few that are very interesting. For example, Corrupt can give you plus 15 loyalty, but it will cost you 1,500. Might be worth using actually if you have lots of money. And yeah, this is done while being deployed somewhere. So you will be also gaining all the bonuses of deploying an agent somewhere. Also, for example, he can do a diplomacy, he can be quite powerful when you add him to the army, and he can get minus 30% to cost of mercenaries. So you can imagine how useful it is to get this guy for Carthage, or to get as many of those as possible by taking over the enemy agents. I'm hoping the bug is already fixed and you can actually take over enemy agents, not kill them instead. Very interesting. For example, for spies. For spies there is absolutely insane trait here. Hunter, that gives plus 30% campaign movement range, plus 15 missile damage, plus 15% missile range. So, absolutely unbalanced. I can just get it right now. There. Embed him into this army, who has Cretan archers, Rhodian slingers, and mercenary Thracians, and mercenary Nubian nobles. And this army is unstoppable right now. Or I have armies when I have 5 Balearic Slingers with 7 ranks or so. So, if you have an army with lots of range units and embed this guy inside, that would be a slaughter. That is too overpowered, in my opinion. That's just crazy. There are also other skills. Where is my other spy? Let me just review those units quickly. Here it is. There are also some other options. Also, if you actually want to do something with other people, you only have one option, like Sabotage Settlement. And it's not very great. It used to be a lot better, let's just say that. I'm sure if I put the right skills in, like here, you can increase the chances of doing, well, pretty much anything. You also, for example, are unlocking other actions like Steal. So, yeah, pretty cool, in my opinion at least. So yeah, all actions of cunning plus 3%, let's take that. And now let's try to go here. Now, it's still 70% actually. That should not be the case. Should be much more powerful right now. Maybe it didn't refresh correctly. Or it will take effect in the next turn. That would be a shame. But yeah, there are some other things that you can do with your agents as well. But the options are limited. The same with those guys. If you try to do, there is only Insight Unrest. So very few options for those guys now. But you can unlock more doing this. Now let's go quickly into my Epirus Let's Play. I will show you some going episode 60 now, I believe. So yeah. This guy, as you can see, still has commander, still has strategist, but now has a philosopher. There is no more Cestus, now it's diplomat. And it's getting diplomacy faction-wide, very interestingly. So all other options, as you can see, everywhere. Some options are the same, some options like the final skills and the beginning skills are totally in different places. There is Marine, at least in one case. I'm not remember if that was Rome or something. Somewhere here, but not for Greeks. Not at all. Not in here. So different skills here. If I go here and my family tree is, as you can see, quite bigger. And at least with some of my generals I will be able to gather influence. For example with this one. He already has 10 zeal, so he can do gather support very easily. And politics is, it's decent actually. Minus 17 for one faction is not that big of a deal, especially if we can actually target some people and get them to do what we want. So that's different, and the skills I showed you are also different slightly. For the agents, it's more similar actually for the agents than the generals themselves. So let's find an agent. Here's one, but it's embedded, and I want to show you one that's not.
How can I be of assistance?
Here again, this is only, because I picked cunning, and for some reason this guy mostly do this action, which is scouting basically. and I would have to unlock one of those actions through those trees. But you can see there is also a hunter. Those things haven't changed that much. There aren't that many interesting options, truth be told, in this tree, except for hunter, which is absolutely overpowered. There are some interesting ones, but that's about it. And it's slightly annoying that the spy has now actions that are based on that are not based on cunning, basically, by default. I like how it worked like right now with those guys. And those agents, similar as I showed you before, employer minus 30% for this. Mercenary units in parent army, minus 10% for upkeep cost. This is pretty cool as well. What I wanted to show you was somewhere here, maybe it was in other faction, but there was a research boost of 10%, I believe. Must have been on other faction. 10% boost in research is quite something. This is wealth. It was somewhere here on one of those. So this is also something you might want to consider, and that would be minus 10% for upkeep of the army, additionally to normal reducement of army upkeep when you are joining. So maybe it will be better to plug this guy in your elite stack instead of, and do this also, which would be weapon and missile damage, instead of keeping him here and doing administration, right? You also have your military agents. I usually do have them embedded. So, again, the same, you normally have a single option. See, cunning, that makes no sense. But it will actually do some casualties, so that's good. And you can obviously unlock more with picking the right tools here. Now, I haven't found something that overpower when it goes to this guy. I mean, yeah, there are some cool ones, like getting 1200 gold for each action that's successful and decreased cost of the actions of this guy, and this is cunning, so actually raiding this garrison will gain me a lot of money instead of losing it. That's quite cool. Or increasing the chances of trapping the guy, that's also pretty interesting one. Yeah, melee attack, hoplite, that's a very useful one. But all in all, as you can see, not that much is changed, basically. But I wanted to show you one more save, because from the get-go, now you can see that most of the women, for example, in those Let's Plays have... That is because I haven't played this for the start. I started new Averni campaign, for example, and the wife of the kings starts after, well, I did promote her, but now she has 32 gravitas, which is quite good, and she can spread rumors, she can assassinate already, flirt, she can insult, she can do a lot of political actions from the get-go, right? And if you go to The skills, they will be more what you are used to. There is a fearless warrior and fearless warrior and all those ones that you know. There is marine in here, but you don't have to go for it. This one is interesting, but this is only for the commander's unit, so like, maybe. But this is barbarians, so what would you expect? Alright, so I feel that's most of it. I feel that's most of what I wanted to cover. Also, the AI recruitment is improved. I didn't had any problems with AI recruitment in Rome 2. There were some problems for some people in Warhammer by the virtue of how the recruitment works in Warhammer. The game was not really prepared for itself when it comes to AI. In here, single recruitment building can give you so many units that you don't actually have to do. This is like level 0 recruitment building in essence. And each recruitment buildings will give you multiple units. So I didn't see a problem, but on the other hand, I haven't seen that in Warhammer 1, and some people did complain. So I'm sure this AI improvements will be helpful, basically. The more variety you have when you're fighting the enemy, the better. And that's it. I thank you for listening to me for that very, very long time. I hope this will be helpful. And thank you. See you later. Bye.